morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Vasil Dikov. I am a Senior Account Manager with GDMFX, and I'll be the one bringing you today's market outlook. We'll start with the North American markets and the events from there, mainly the testimony from Janet Yellen yesterday. Basically, what she was defending was the central bank's regulatory role, taking about the issue with Wells Fargo and other banks considered too big to fail, and addressing accusations of political conflict of interest. She also provided details on the changes of the central banks is considering to making to the annual stress tests it's given the US banks. It would move to a more risk-sensitive, firm-specific approach that would result in a significant aggregate increase in capital requirements for the 8 largest US banks, she said. She told the committee that the Fed was reviewing whether the largest US lenders are complying with banking rules in the wake of the Wells Fargo scandal. The Fed was also accused by the participating journalists and representatives about being too cozy with the Obama administration. The durable goods orders in the US was 1.4% better than expected at 0%, and the durable goods orders ex-transportations were as expected at minus 0.4%. The Dow Jones was 12 points up, the Nasdaq 8 points up, the DC was down to 95.48 from 95.53. The US dollar versus the Canadian dollar was 145 pips down. This was the biggest mover. Today we're going to have the GDP annualized for the second quarter. Janet Yellen is also going to give out another speech, the initial jobless claims, the GDP index, the goods trade balance, the PCE prices quarter on quarter, and the core PCE quarter on quarter. Also pending home sales for the month and the year. Moving on to Europe and the European markets. We had the German GfK Consumer Confidence Survey for October, 0.2% weaker than expected at 10 points. From Switzerland, the UBS consumption indicator was 1.53 versus the previous reading of 1.45 points. The euro versus the Canadian dollar was down 155 pips. The DAX 30 was 138 points up, and the CAC 40 gained 61 points. Today we're going to have German unemployment seasonally adjusted and unemployment change for September, German CPI, Harmonized index of consumer prices for the year and the month. That is going to be preliminary data. Moving on to UK and the UK market, sterling is on a route to set a record negative run versus the dollar. The cable is heading for a 5th quarterly decline, a level last seen in 1984. While managing to recover some of the lost ground in August, the pound has extended its losses in recent weeks amid speculations that the Brexit separation will be a swift one. And comments from the Bank of England Deputy Governor Shafik did not help the pound to rebound. Shafik noted that further easing from the Bank of England may be needed by the year's end. The comment comes after the Bank of England already reduced interest rates and pumped up the asset purchasing facility. Sterling lost 0.2% after her comments. The FTSE 100 gained 82 points and closed at 6,860 yesterday. The pound versus the Canadian dollar was 155 pips down yesterday, and the pound versus the Japanese yen was 87 pips up. Later on for the day, we're going to have the consumer credit data, mortgage approvals, and the GfK consumer confidence. Moving on to the Asian markets and the events there, Asian stocks rallied and the yen depreciated as oil held near a 3-week high after the unexpected agreement by the OPEC to cut crude output for the first time since 2008. The cost for banks to borrow yuan for each other overnight in Hong Kong surged to a fresh 7-month high Wednesday, a move traders said was likely due to further intervention in the market from China's central bank. And the overnight interbank borrowing cost jumps to 8.16 at the highest level since February 19th. The events from yesterday, the large retail sales in Japan was 1.7% weaker than expected, minus 3.6%. The retail trade on a yearly basis 1.9% worse than the previous at minus 2.1%. Retail trade seasonally adjusted for the month 2.4% worse than the previous at minus 1.1%. Foreign bond investment 1,768.2 billion more than the previous at 1,178.6 billion yen, and the foreign investment in Japan stocks improved with 211.7 billion yen. The Nikkei 225 was 131 points up, 135 up today. The Canadian versus the Japanese yen was 119 pips up. The Aussie versus the yen 59 pips up. Later on today, we're going to have a speech from the Bank of England Governor Kuroda. And moving on to the commodity section of the market, oil futures extended gains on Thursday after rising nearly 6% the day before on a surprise move by OPEC to curb crude output. This was agreed to limit production to a range of 32.533 million barrels per day in talks held on the sidelines of an energy conference in Algeria. They will decide that will be the numbers for each country and its November 30 meeting in Vienna. Gold remained in negative territory as market players looked ahead to a handful of Federal Reserve speeches that may offer clues on the timing of the future rate hike. Crude oil stock exchange fell by 1.882 million barrels after a fall of 6.2 million barrels the previous week. Crude inventories were forecasted to rise by 2.995 million barrels. The S&P 500 index had a range of 21 points up to 21.66 right now. Gold had a range of $10 down to $1,323 right now. Silver had a range of 31 cents at $19.23 right now. Crude oil had a $3 range up to 47.10 right now. And natural gas is trading at $3 at the moment with a range of 9 cents. On Thursday, we're going to have the natural gas storage change, and on Friday, the Baker Hughes oil account. That is all from me. Thank you and have a nice day.